Okay, yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna show you guys how I made my folder and how to do embossing or like a spot UV look or something, and embossing on paper. Um, so do we have my folder? I'm not gonna show that. I had my stamp made, as you very well know, at Raleigh Stamp Company, and Marsha's gonna get that. So I had my stamp made at Raleigh Stamp Company, and it's just on a wood. This is my stamp. I know some of you haven't seen it yet. It's just a plain wood, background stamp, and then they cut out from my logo, what it looks like or whatever. And they can do. Mine was smaller than the original. Like, I think that they can do it up to 2.5 inches. Mine's a little like wide and tall, like a square. Mine's a little bit smaller than that, and it cost me $17 to have this made. And you can use it with ink. You can use it with anything you want. So it's something you can use on lots of things, and you can do it as big as 2.5 inches wide to as small as you want. Here is how I did the stamp. So this is the stamp here, and okay. So they also, just so you guys remember, they do the relief, the embossing that you can like press into your paper. What's that? The debossing. So then they do the debossing, and it will come out. They can make it. You can ask them to do it where it comes out of your paper or into your paper, and those are also, I think, 2 inches, like a 2-inch diameter, and they can do those for you. Okay, so first I was going to show you guys how to score. If you want to see, I have a scoreboard that I've had for a long time. It's really messy, but this is just a scoreboard, and it's the Martha Stewart one that I got at Michael's. She usually, her products are usually of better quality because it's built towards crafters that make envelopes and things like that for themselves, at home, and scrapbookers. So it's best for. I like her products for like little things like this because I know it's going to be really good quality for a cheap price. I got this. I think I paid $10 or $12 for this after the coupon. So like without the coupon, it was like $25 maybe, I don't know. And then with the coupon, I got that, and it comes with these boning knives. Well, actually, it came with this boning knife, and this is the boning, like a small one. And then I bought this boning knife before I ever had this. This is what I used to score. You don't have to have a scoreboard, and you can just use a regular boning knife. And these are like $2. And I'll show you how to score both ways. If you can't afford this, how you can buy just a boning knife, and how you can do it. All right, so scoreboard, how you score. You would have your marks. You can't really see them on the black, but you would have your marks of where you are going to score, like where your fold is, right? Like, so you have that marked out. And you put it on your scoreboard, and you line up where the fold is going to be on the scoreboard. And I use a ruler to set it against. And so basically what I'm talking about where you line it up is, I don't know if y'all can see, but you line up the line, like this is the line, into a groove. So you want the line to be matched up. Say that this is my line of where the fold's going to be. It needs to be matched up to the groove. And so you match it up to a groove. And then I use my ruler to have a hard edge to press against. So we'll just, pretend like that's it. Okay, and then you use the smaller boning knife, and you just press down inside, and you just run it back and forth. Kind of like, you think of it as like an X-Acto knife, like you don't want to bear down when you're cutting something with an X-Acto knife, so you just do it like a light cut, and you kind of do that at first with this, and then I press down. Then I start like, so at first I go with the edge, like just to make the groove, and then I take this flat edge and I press, depending on how hard thick the paper is. You know, you don't want to burn through it. And then you can see, I don't know if you guys can see, but it makes that perfect little raised, can you see that edge? And so then you just fold it over. Oops, fold it over and press down. You have a perfect fold. So that's how, and it looks perfect on the inside. It looks perfect. And then you can, you know, then if you're like, okay, it's like popping open like that, if it's thick paper, I take it and I take the flat part of my thing and I just press down. You know, so you're not getting oil on it with your fingers and it doesn't look gross. So you just use your boning knife to press down. And it's flat. There it is. And so that's how you score. Now, if you can't afford a scoreboard, you can use a boning knife. And it's the same concept. It's just a little bit more, you know, you don't have that groove. So you got to use a mat. You can't do it on a hard surface. So if you have a cutting mat, you need something soft. And you just line it up, you know, line your line up to the grid, your fold. And again, use a ruler. This is how I used to score before I had a scoreboard. But the scoreboard makes it easier. And again, I actually don't know what this side is for. I don't ever use that side. I always use this side. So again, you have your sharper point. So you just kind of take it down and press in and go over and over it several times. You know, if it's thin paper, be careful. You don't want to burn through the paper. And then take this duller edge and then just go down it. Kind of look at it. And then it's not going to make as nice of a fold as that scoreboard is. I mean, it's, if you're being perfectionist about it, but you can't really tell the difference if you know, on the outside. It's on the inside. You can see that groove better whenever something. Anyways, so then you take it again and you run over. And you have a flat folder. That's how you score. Okay, so now I will show you what I did, why I got my stamp. So I had the stamp made because I wanted to have that, the UV effect, you know, because my brand has got the spot UV. So I wanted, you know, that, but you don't have to, you know, have it spot UV. I mean, you can just do it because it's fun. Okay, thank you. So it's hard to, you know, paint this stuff on. You can use what I used is called the Recollections. I got this at Michael's too, and I think that each one of these is like $2. And again, you know, I went with my husband, and he had a coupon, and I had a coupon, and we got a colored one and this one. So, you know, it was basically buying 2 for 1. They have those 50% off coupons, so it was like $1 or something for each one. They have every color you can think of. They have metallic, so if you wanted to do like silver or gold or glitter or orange or whatever, any color you can think of, beige. They even have beige, like sand colored, and you can use those. And so if you want it to be clear, just be careful because they have white ones and opalescent colored ones. And so you need to make sure you read it very carefully because the opalescent ones and the white ones all are the same color as the clear ones. So it will say clear. So if you want it to be clear, like if you have, you know, you don't want that shine in it or you don't want it to be white, just make sure it says clear. Don't just grab it because it's white. Okay, so those are the ones I got. Stamp, handmade with my logo. And then the paper, the ink I use is called Versamark, and it's just it's a water stamp mark, you know. So it's like it's Versamark, and it says it's a watermark stamp pad. So it's a way for you to do. You could have this done, and you could stamp just this, and it looks like a watermark on your paper, which would also be cool, like on your letterhead and stuff would be kind of cool. I just thought about that. All right, so you take your, and the reason why there's like color in there is because the guy stamped my ink pad, my stamp with black ink, and but it's fine, it doesn't show up. So you stamp your, you know, get your logo all covered in ink, and then you're going to, this particular one, you can line it up, which took, it's a long story. It's really funny actually, but I will save you the story. This lines up perfectly, basically. There's a groove here, and this is how you know where the bottom of your logo is. Does that make sense? So here's your logo. Here's your logo. And the bottom of the groove, that's how you can line it up properly to what you're trying to stamp it on. So, okay. So you stamp. Alright, so then theirs is stamped.
Did you do this one?
Yeah, I gotta put some ink on it though before it dries. Okay, and so then you take this stuff and you just sprinkle it on there. Not a lot, just a little bit. And then you just kind of like bounce it around, get it on there, you know, kind of cover it, make sure it's really covered really well. And then, yeah, thank you. You have a trash can nearby. And then just dump this in the trash can. And then what I do is I like thump it. Make sure you brush off all this extra. Okay, well that one just messed up. Anyways, you just, you know, hit it so it bounces off. And then you use this, which is called a heating gun. And again, I got this at Michael's with a coupon. Use your coupons, you know, because there's no sense in not doing that. You have to go to several, like to Michael's. AC Moore carries them too, so if you need to go to Michael's and AC Moore in the same day, do that. But you know, save your money, use your coupons.
Did you use a hairdryer?
No, it doesn't work. I've tried. It doesn't get hot enough. Hair dryers don't get hot enough. So, all right. So then you turn it on, and you just go straight over the top. And there it is. That's how you do it. And if you wanted to add more, because like I just accidentally hit mine, so I knocked some stuff off, you could just add a little bit more, because now it's, you know, it's wet a little bit because it's heated. And you can kind of, there's just like little spots you can see where it filled in a little bit. And you can just heat it, don't heat the whole thing, just heat it where it was missing some. And it kind of fills it in a little bit better. The other thing is make sure that you get the ones that are like it looks like it's as fine as like a herb, you know, like a cinnamon, like a herb. Make sure it's that fine, like it's very powdery, because they do make ones that are more gritty, and those create holes. Like it's very like chunky whenever you heat it up, and it's not smooth like a stamp. Okay, and so then here is the colored ones. If you want to do the black, like a colored embossing powder, you would, and these are a little trickier. I don't have a paintbrush with me, but what you'd want to do, because it's colored, so it's gonna leave, it'll leave, you know, whenever you heat it, it's gonna heat those little specks, like a little black speck of dust is gonna get somewhere over here. It'll happen, you'll see it. You need a paintbrush to kind of brush that stuff away. Once you've stamped it and you put the powder on it, it doesn't matter how long you take to heat it. You know, you can take all the time you need until you heat it. So if you have a really intricate, you know, design, or not even intricate, if it's very clean, you want it to look clean, just get one of those tiny little paintbrushes, you know, and brush away all that extra dust that's not stuck to your logo, because otherwise you'll see what I'm saying, because I don't have one with me, so you'll see what I mean. It looks a little messier. So the colored ones are a little more difficult because you got to make sure you brush away all that extra powder, otherwise it looks messy. So again, just like kind of shake it around over your trash can and just get off as much as you can. And without a brush, it's going to be hard to get off the stuff like this, like intricate. And actually, I won't try to get it away so you can see what I'm saying. Make sure you have a brush with you. But, oh, here it is with just the powder. Okay. There it is heated. So you see what I'm saying, like the little bits of powder around it, like the little bits of, you need to make sure you have a brush just to brush that stuff away. And it looks good because I do it at home and it's fine. But that's it heated. So it still has that like shiny look.
That's beautiful. We have some question and answers. Meredith, please.
That's it.
Anybody have any questions?
Show these
Yeah.
up close, like this and pads.
Now, all the materials that you used except for the stamp, like you can get at Michael's.
Yes.
Easy
This,
things.
he asked me if I could get all of these materials except for the stamp at Michael's or AC Moore. And yes, you can get all of them. The paper, this thick paper, if you wanted to do something with paper like this, I got it Jerry's. So this I did get at Jerry's Artorama. This is a folder, like a folder that you put in a filing cabinet that I just cut a piece off of, which you can probably use for a folder yourself. Fine colored folders. But these, everything else I got at Michael's. This I got at Raleigh Stamp Company. And you can, like I said, use your coupons and get everything you need. So I would say, like, with the without the, or wait, let me rephrase that. Total for everything with the coupons, I probably spent $25.
Where did you get the watermark stamp pad?
At Michael's.
Okay.
You know, you can't do it all in one visit. Like, I would go and I would be like, but I bought these at different times. But if you want to do it all in one visit, then you can get but they give you 50% off one item, right? Those coupons are like, you get 50% off one item. So I would go with somebody if you're gonna do this and like have one person get this and one person get that, and then go to AC Moore and get your stuff like this in the same day if you're gonna shop on the same day. To save your money. Cheat the system.
Team up.
Yeah.
Can you get the powders in a bigger bottle?
Yes. They have them in bigger, but this will last you for so long. But yeah, if you want to do like big things, yeah, they have bigger ones, and they do have the ones that are chunky. Do work really cool for like if you're wanting to do like, you know, like a design where you want it to look like there's glass over the top of it, then it works. But you gotta, like, what you do with those is you do I've tried it on something. It won't work so good on something intricate like this, but say it was like a circle and like you had a logo and you wanted to fill in the whole circle, right? You would do that chunky and you want it to look like glass. You put the chunky embossing powder on and then you heat it, and right after you heat it you put the chunky on again, and you just keep adding it until it fills in, and it looks like literally like there's a piece of glass over the top of it.
How long does it take to dry once it's been heated, like to where you can just touch it?
Right away.
Really?
Yeah. You gotta act fast once you start heating it, if you want to add more. But yeah, it dries right away. And you can't, I mean, it doesn't, like, I'll try to scratch it off. It doesn't scratch off. I mean, you gotta dig in. So, you know, I'm like rubbing my finger over it really hard. It doesn't come off.
That's a great way to get a final, beautiful look like it was done by a printer
Yeah.
with comping, because very often we have to comp to present to an art director or a client to say, you could do this as an option for your printing.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly. And like I said, this is, if you want to just practice with like scoring and stuff like that, this is like literally, I think it's like $1.79, and so, and it's just the boning knife. Do you know what this side is for? Because I don't know. I've never used that side.
okay, so any part of the bone is actually a very useful tool depending on what kind of materials you're working with. Very often back in the day we used that end for press type, and I don't know if you're familiar with what that is. That's actually the alphabet where you would create presentation comps where the type was actually onto a acetate, and you put it down on the paper and align the baseline, and you would rub with a bone.
Okay.
So it doesn't dig into the actual material that you're pressing down, but then when you pull it up, the letter sticks to the paper.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of uses for a bone. Actually, if you have a long smooth end, it's also good for pulling down a rubber after you've glued a piece of material on a piece of board. You can actually just hold this and have the bone do
Yeah.
the rest of getting the bubbles out.
Yes.
There's so many uses for a bone.
I use that for what you're talking about. I got this because I did some like laminating or something for somebody, for like it was a project I was doing for family or something a couple years ago, and that's exactly it. You can just rub it down and it just like pops. You can like even hear the little bubbles coming out. It's like they come out. I was gonna show you like really quick how easy it is. Is there like just a printing piece of paper? Yeah. Like, okay, like whenever we get something print, like the little pamphlets we just did, like if you want to do something like that at home, you know, the paper's a little thicker than this, but you could also type a paper like this. Like I was pressing down really hard for these because it's, I don't even know what weight this is, but it's at least 100 and
I'd say 110 pound cover.
yeah, like 120 pound. Yeah, okay, so that's pretty thick. But so this, like for like you would if you bared down like that on this, you would tear right through it. But I'll show you, like, so this is why this is so great. Like you just do it like a couple times, you know, and you have your fold, and it's just like so easy, and it's just a perfect fold. And then you know, again, like I showed you, just kind of rub it over the top,
What's that, Michael's, did you get that?
and it's just, you know, it's perfect, and it's got the nice little pretty thing in there too.
So you want the side that you scored to be on the inside?
Yes, so you score on the inside, yeah, and then,
Depending how thick the board is, because sometimes you have to score on the outside.
that's true, yeah.
So that it's a clean white inside board
That's
showing
gonna
instead of a rippled tear look.
That's true.
Torn look, yeah.
That's gonna be thick. This is, this, it worked fine for me to do
It's
it.
black on black, so that's good.
Yeah.
So how do you know when to use the edge and when to use the tip? Because I've noticed that you.
So the,
Repeat what she said.
how do I know how to use the edge of the boning knife opposed to the tip? And the tip I use just to kind of like do my initial score.
Like an outline.
Yeah, to get that initial like score in there. And I did it on the 110, 120 heavier paper. I would probably use the tip several times. But not, like I was saying, like you use it like the X-Acto knife. Like you don't bear down on an X-Acto knife. To get a clean cut with an X-Acto knife in anything you're cutting, which I'm sure you guys know this, especially whenever you're cutting Bristol board or anything thicker, you just do a light cut and then a light cut and a light cut until it finally separates. Because if you bear down, you get all those jagged looks. So like the same thing. So I do like a light score and a light score, and then I start to bear down with the dull end. So the tip will give me that initial like groove, and then I can bear down with the dull end, the dull side.
Good question.
Yeah.
What
Probably
section,
help to do like a, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I'm just asking, what section of Michael do you get the bone from?
So like I said, like I tend, like there's so many different scoreboards and there's so many different crafty projects, but Martha Stewart's brand, like, okay, you can get like really nice ones at Jerry's that are real expensive, but I'm not gonna go into production of like making envelopes, so I'm not gonna go buy a nice scorer. I just need something that's solid that will get me through on the small projects that I can do. And Martha Stewart's brands are geared towards like home crafters, people who craft from home for fun, and so they're gonna be really sturdy. So that's what I buy her stuff for, things like that. And there's a Martha Stewart section in all of the Jerry's. In Michael's, and I don't know if Martha Stewart actually, now I'm thinking about, sells it AC Moore. But if they do, if she does, there's a section. There's a Martha Stewart section. And
You can buy generic too.
Yeah, you yeah.
I'm more of a generic type person. You can do with a regular bone what Martha Stewart, Martha Stewart probably has a nice feel. She may have gotten some designer on board to make it feel good when you hold it in your hands. The material may be a little better.
Yeah.
But
You can
the
get
reaction of what you're doing with a generic and a Martha Stewart is going to be
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah, you can get, yes. I just, like her scoreboard I got because it was, you can tell the you'll see like whenever you look at the scoreboards, like the boning knife, you probably can get whatever, but the scoreboards you'll see, it's like, it's just bigger and it's more like marked. Like the other scoreboards are just a basic little, unless you go to like a nicer place and then you start paying a lot of money for those scoreboards. They're expensive.
Probably don't want to if you're doing small projects.
Yeah, for a small project, like Marsha said, you can get a generic one or get the Martha Stewart ones, but they have a Martha Stewart section, and then if you're gonna get a generic, like look at the other ones, go to the paper crafty area, like it's the paper section where all the paper samples are, and it'll be the same area where this stuff, the embossing powders are. It's the paper crafting, like scrapbooking they might call it, or something like that section. Yeah,
I'd ask somebody when you walk in.
yeah.
Any
I
questions?
would say you could probably just like to figure out how hard you need to bear down or press, like just do a sample piece of paper before you start
Yeah.
doing your final project so you don't mess it up.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely practice on, that's a good point, like definitely before you score, practice on a sample piece of the same paper so you don't burn through it, because I have done that, burned through my stuff, and you're sad when you do that, especially if you didn't is something like
Yeah.
only one thing you've been working on it forever, and then all of a sudden it's like paper thin, like really, really thin, see-through. So that was when I first started out doing it. Yeah. Anything else? Yeah.
The stamp, I know you mentioned where you got it from, but I can't remember.
Rob-
Also, what was the, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
the process for doing that and turnaround.
Okay.
Did you
So
try it without the stamp? Or can you
I
just-
did try it without the stamp before. I tried it. So
That's like 3/4 of the
no, that's okay. So the first question was you were asking me was did I try it without? I'll repeat your question so they can hear it. But did I try it without the stamp? And I did try to do it without the stamp. I tried to paint it on with nail polish, and it just looked terrible. I tried to do what else did I try to do? The nail polish was the main thing, and then I tried. I did try calling places to see if they could do, a test spot UV folder. That was, I got laughed at. And, you learn as you go through it, because I just didn't know. I was like, oh, maybe I can just pay for, a couple, and I don't mind paying, a little bit more. But they were like, yeah, we're not going to waste our time, but doing 250 folders, at the least. And, so I think with the spot UV, I tried to paint it on and with ink and with nail polish, and it just didn't work. Like I printed it and then tried to like paint over it, and it just didn't look good. And so that led me to your next question. What led me to doing this was that I just was like, okay, well, how can I get a clean, design? And it just like dawned on me to do a stamp. And then I was like, well, how can I get a stamp made? So then I just Googled, have your logo turned into a stamp or something like that. And then I saw you could do it, and there's all these big companies, that you can do it and have the turnaround's like 2 weeks. And then I just thought, I'll look in Raleigh and see if there's a stamp company. And that's where I found Raleigh Stamp Company. And I called them, and they were very, very helpful. I mean, like, he was emailing me back. We got it all planned out within a couple hours, and he had it to me within 2 days. So it was a turnaround of 2 days. He didn't tell me, he told me it would be a turnaround of 4 to 5 days. So, like, I wouldn't call there knowing. They might have just had a slow, lull in business, and then he was able to get it to me in 2 days. He told me the turnaround was 4 to 5 days. But he called me in 2 days and was like, your stamp's ready.
So really expect it maybe 4 to 5 days.
Yeah, so just guess on 4 to 5 days, but he called me in 2 days and was like, your stamp's ready, and I was like, oh my God, sweet. So I went there and got it, and that's just the basic wood one, but they have the ones that self-ink. They have ones that, like I was talking about, the debossing. They have all kinds of ink ones, all kinds of the stamp ones. But, yeah. And he told me originally that it was going to be like $27. But whenever I sent him the PDF, you send him a PDF. When I sent him the PDF and I told him that was how big I wanted it, it was smaller than the 2.5 inches or whatever. And so he actually, I would have still paid the $25, but when I got there to pick it up, it was only $17.50. And I asked him why, and he said because it was smaller. So they're honest too, so that's cool.
I like it better smaller,
Yeah.
because
So-
it's still big, it's still large.
Did that answer everything?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Raleigh Rubber Stamp Company.
Raleigh Rubber Stamp Company. Yeah, and their debossers are like $39. So, I mean, but for being able to deboss your own stuff, like if you wanted to do a folder and have your logo debossed, I mean, that's a good deal. Or like debossing your own letterhead, like if you wanted to like have something fancy or even your own business cards. I mean, that'd be kind of fun. You know,
blind emboss, the deboss?
I don't know.
It's done from the back side? Or
I don't
the-
know.
Oh, okay,
They have like 4 or 5 different ones though. So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that would be good to talk to them and ask them,
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've thought about getting one myself just to have for my letterhead. You know, just to have something fancy every once in a while, just to be able to deboss it and be like, here you go. Like, maybe your bill. You're like, here, thank you for paying me $5,000. There's one deboss bill, you know. I don't know. So make them feel better about paying you or something. Get some fancy little bill in the mail. Yeah, or you know, your envelopes. That's something you could think. I've thought about doing, like where you have your envelope and like, you know, like where it comes down on the back, you could deboss your logo and then, you know, something fun, just something, you know, fun and different. So it's expensive. I mean, $40 is pricey, I know, just for like a stamp, but you'll have it forever. So, but they will only do it up to 2-inch diameter for those.
That's good to know.
Yeah, I think it's 2 inches no matter what. Actually, maybe, I don't know.
All right.
Yeah, so that's it.
I think that's it.
Thank
you very
you very
much. Meredith.